My next guest is Princeton Professor Robert George. Dr. George is the McCormick Professor of Jurisprudence at the James Madison Program and American Ideals and Institutions at Princeton University. His books include, among many others, The Clash of Orthodoxies, Conscience and Its Enemies, and Making Men Moral. Robert George, welcome back to Driving Home the Faith.
It's very good to be back with you, my dear old friend.
Yeah, and it's good to have you too, Robbie. First of all, I want to get your thoughts just very briefly on the passing of a truly American icon in Dolly Parton. Listeners, I'm sure, are all aware now that she passed away yesterday after a short bout with cancer at the age of 80. And you posted something, a short tribute on X, formerly known as Twitter, yesterday or this morning. Give us your short thought, especially as a fellow hillbilly, and I can say that with affection because it's an epithet that you use for yourself.
Yes, indeed. Well, for once, we can actually use that overused term, a true American icon, or phrase a true American icon accurately. She really was a true American icon. She was an extraordinary human being. Now, we've heard and we'll hear more about her remarkable voice, of course, her great vocal ability, her songwriting talents, her kindness, her compassion, her extraordinary generosity, her 60-year marriage to the reclusive small businessman Carl Dean, and an almost preternatural ability to be loved by everybody, including by people who loathe and detest each other, which is really, something I think I've never seen before in my life. But when I think of her, I don't think of her as the icon she came to be. I think of her as a 22-year-old girl who's just starting out on the Porter Wagoner Show. Yes. Yeah. So Porter was a second-tier country star in the 1960s when I myself was growing up in the heart of Appalachian, north central West Virginia, coal mining country. But he had a syndicated television show. And my four younger brothers and I always watched the show. We loved country music. We're country musicians ourselves. I'm a bluegrass banjo player. All the boys play different instruments. We all love country music. We would listen to the WWVA Wheeling, West Virginia Jamboree, or when the signal was good, the Grand Ole Opry, WSM Radio in Nashville, Tennessee. But the Porter Wagoner Show always had, in addition to the members of the band, the guitarist and the steel guitarist and the drummer and the bass player and so forth, would have a girl singer. And from 1960, when the show began, to about 1967, the girl singer was a woman named Norma Jane Beasley, and she was very, very good. But she got married, had a baby, left the show about 1967, and he got a new girl singer. Porter did, from Pigeon Junction, Tennessee, named Dolly Rebecca Parton. Yeah. And so she began to appear on the show, and we certainly liked her and liked her voice. She was very entertaining, very bubbly, of course, very pretty. But then it turned out that about a half hour from where we lived, there was a town with a theater, the town of Fairmont. The theater was called the Fairmont Theater. And sometimes nationally known country musicians would come to play at the theater, and occasionally my parents would take the gang of us over to hear the theater. And, well, sure enough, one day the Porter Wagoner Show came to town, and we got tickets, and we were there, and it was one of the first appearances, I suppose, of the new girl singer, of Dolly Parton. And although we'd seen her on TV, and we even had the record, the album that she just had out with
Hello, I'm Dolly,
Porter.
Right?
No, it was a duet album. It was called Just Between You and Me. It was called Just Between You and Me. Yeah. But we, of course, hadn't seen her in person, and that was a whole different experience. Let me tell you, she was great on TV. But the phrase stage presence could have been invented for this young woman, 22 years old, out of East Tennessee hills, But she had this remarkable stage presence. And I'll tell you something, every boy in that room, certainly not excluding me, was head over heels in love with Dolly Rebecca Parton. Then just to finish the story, country musicians are famous, and deservedly so, for their loyalty and gratitude to their fans. I mean, country musicians take seriously their obligation to their fans because they know that the celebrity they enjoy and the money that comes with it is a kind of gift from the fans who love country music. So country musicians after shows will always come out and sign autographs and chat and so forth. Well, the whole gang after that show, all Porter and the boys, the Wagon Masters and Dolly, all came out from behind the curtain, and we lined up for autographs, and all of them signed autographs. But gradually they all left except Dolly, who stayed not only until every person wanting her autograph in that room got it, but even for 20 minutes or half an hour after that, just chatting with people. And when it was our turn, when the George brothers, the five of us, got up to her, she shook our hands, she asked us our names, and then she picked up my little brother Eddie, who was 2 years old. I was 12. He was 2. There are 10 years between the oldest and the youngest. She picked up my little brother Eddie and gave him a kiss. We have a photograph of it. It's one of the treasures in our family. So that's my Dolly Parton story.
Oh, that's such a great story, and I really appreciate you taking the time to tell it, because I didn't know any of these things. Obviously I knew that you shared an Appalachian heritage with Dolly Parton, but I didn't know any of these stories, and that's really terrific. And of course, you mentioned that listeners might not be aware, but in addition to all of the great things that you've done, including your Oxford degree and so forth, and teaching at Princeton, you're a very accomplished musician yourself, and you pick a mean piano. I'm sorry, banjo. Pick a mean banjo. Yeah.
I do pound a little piano on the side, but no, my main instrument is the banjo, and it was the soundtrack of my youth. Growing up in West Virginia, it's Appalachian classical music, I call it, and I still play today, and I love it. And of course, in that world, figures like Dolly Parton they're like Beethoven and Bach.
Right. Talk about Dolly Parton's guitar guitar playing technique and style, especially as I think, and I could be wrong about this, so correct me if I am, as it follows on Maybelle Carter basically inventing a new way of playing guitar.
Well, yeah. Now, Maybelle Carter, known as Mother Maybelle, she really did invent or at least brought from her community, her small community, this style of playing and made it nationally recognizable. It's called the Carter Scratch. It's playing out the melody of a song with your thumb principally on the bass notes while having a rhythmic strum to accompany the melody. The classic example of this is Maybelle Carter's performance of the old song called "The Wildwood Flower."
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dolly didn't play in Carter's scratch style. She would do a regular strum and sometimes some finger picking. She had she always favored great big
long fingernails.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I often wondered, how is she doing that with the fingernails? But somehow or another, she figured out a way to do it. She was actually a little better as a banjo player than she was as a guitarist. She was fine as a guitarist. She played a little tiny guitar. She's actually a little tiny lady. People don't recognize her. She's like 5 foot tall.
Right. Yeah.
She's not a big lady. But she was even better on the banjo, and she played that in an old-fashioned Appalachian style. She doesn't play it in the style I play the banjo, the three-finger Earl Scruggs style bluegrass playing. She plays it more in the mountain style, which is sometimes called clawhammer or frailing. But it was authentic. She was the real thing. She was not somebody pretending to be from the culture of the mountains and of Appalachia and the Southern Hills. She was it. She was the real thing.
And I think Robbie, part of what is most endearing is that absolute authenticity, which might sound ironic to listeners who say, "Well, what about the fake wig and the fake nails and all of that?" But she said in interview after interview, you have to understand that this is deliberate on my part, and that the authenticity, never leaving. She lived her whole life in Sevierville, Tennessee, and she never left those roots, and that authenticity, I think, is really what endears her to so many people. And as you say, had that quality of being able to bring people together who otherwise disagree about everything.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. She became a big international celebrity, but she didn't hide or try to hide the fact that her roots were in this Appalachian mountain culture. That was her. That was her. That was the real. That was the real Dolly. And as far as the big hair, for example, and the wigs, I mean, I grew up in Appalachia, and when women dolled themselves up, they dolled themselves up like Dolly. There was a lot of makeup, and there was the big hair, and the occasional wig, and the whole thing. And
we don't, and we don't have time to tell it, but she actually tells a story on herself about how she looked at developed this look by looking at other people that she looked up to in her youth. So unfortunately, we're out of time on this. But for my listeners, where else are you going to get an Oxford-trained Princeton professor talking about Dolly Parton? Nowhere else but but Driving Home the Faith. Robert George, thanks for being with me today on Driving Home the Faith.
My pleasure, Ken.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.